The rain hammered against the windows of my small apartment in Seattle, mirroring the storm raging inside me. Brennan, a 43-year-old architect, had always considered myself a rational man, a pragmatist. But the evidence was irrefutable, a cold, hard slap in the face delivered in the form of a carelessly left open email on my wife, Imogen's, laptop. Imogen and I had been married for 15 years. We met in college, two young dreamers with aspirations that seemed to intertwine perfectly. She was a vibrant artist, full of life and color, and I, the steady, reliable architect, provided the structure and stability she craved. Or so I thought. We built a life together, a comfortable existence filled with weekend trips to the mountains, quiet evenings spent reading by the fire, and the unspoken understanding that we were each other's rock. But the email, it shattered everything. It was from a man named Kalen, a name I vaguely recognized as belonging to one of Imogen's art gallery colleagues. The subject line was innocuous enough regarding the upcoming exhibition, but the content was anything but. It was a cascade of intimate details, whispered promises, and blatant declarations of love. My blood ran cold as I scrolled through the messages, each word a dagger twisting in my heart. I remember the exact moment I found it. Imogen had left her laptop on the kitchen counter while she went to pick up groceries. I needed to quickly check a detail on a blueprint, something I'd been obsessing over for weeks, a new community center project that was my pride and joy. I opened the laptop, and there it was, the email application still open, Kalen's name staring back at me. My hands trembled as I read. The words blurred, then sharpened into cruel focus. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me, the world tilting on its axis. This couldn't be real. Imogen, my Imogen, wouldn't do this. She couldn't. I closed the laptop, my mind reeling. I paced the kitchen, trying to make sense of what I had just read. Was this some kind of elaborate joke, a misunderstanding? But deep down, I knew the truth. The tone, the language, the sheer intimacy of the messages, it was undeniable. Imogen was having an affair. The next few hours were a blur. I tried to distract myself, throwing myself into my work, but the words from the email kept flashing in my mind. I couldn't eat, I couldn't focus. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare, desperately trying to wake up but finding myself sinking deeper and deeper into the darkness. When Imogen returned, she seemed oblivious, cheerful as always. She kissed me on the cheek, asked about my day, and started preparing dinner. I watched her, my heart aching, trying to reconcile the woman I knew with the woman who had written those words in the email. How could she be so normal, so unaffected while carrying on this secret affair? I knew I couldn't keep it in. I had to confront her. But how? What would I say? I was terrified of the truth, of the confirmation of my worst fears. But the uncertainty was killing me. Imogen, I said, my voice barely a whisper. Can we talk? She looked at me, her brow furrowing slightly. Of course, Brennan, what's wrong? You seem upset. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice. I saw an email on your laptop. Her face paled. She knew. I could see it in her eyes, the flicker of guilt, the dawning realization that she had been caught. What email? She asked, her voice trembling. From Kalen, I said, the name tasting like ash in my mouth. I read it, Imogen. I read everything. She didn't deny it. She couldn't. The silence stretched between us, thick and suffocating. Finally she spoke, her voice barely audible. Brennan, I can explain. Explain, I said, my voice rising. Explain how you could betray me like this. Explain how you could lie to my face every day. Explain how you could be with another man while I was here, loving you, trusting you. It's not like that, she said, tears streaming down her face. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It just happened, I repeated, incredulous. You didn't mean for it to go this far. You were writing love letters to another man, Imogen. You were sleeping with him. How much further did you think it could go? She started sobbing, burying her face in her hands. I'm so sorry, Brennan. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did, I said, my voice flat. You have hurt me more than I ever thought possible. That night was a blur of accusations, denials, and tears. Imogen confessed everything. The affair had been going on for 6 months, starting with innocent lunches and escalating into passionate encounters. She claimed she loved me, that she didn't want to lose me, but that she had been feeling neglected, that I was too focused on my work. I didn't buy it. Her excuses rang hollow, a pathetic attempt to justify her betrayal. I had always been a good husband, a provider, a partner. I had supported her dreams, celebrated her successes, and been there for her through thick and thin. How could she claim I had neglected her? The next few weeks were a living hell. We lived in separate rooms, barely speaking. The house, once a sanctuary of love and laughter, was now a battleground of resentment and pain. I couldn't look at Imogen without feeling a surge of anger and disgust. The woman I had loved, the woman I had built my life with, was gone, replaced by a stranger, a liar, a cheater. I tried to understand, to forgive. I went to therapy hoping to salvage our marriage. But the therapist told me what I already knew in my heart: the trust was broken, irreparably damaged. There was no going back. I decided to end it. I filed for divorce. Imogen didn't fight it. She knew she had destroyed everything. The divorce was messy and painful, but eventually it was finalized. I moved out of our house, finding a small apartment downtown. I was alone, heartbroken, and adrift. I threw myself into my work, pouring all my energy into the community center project. It was the only thing that gave me a sense of purpose, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I worked late into the night, obsessing over every detail, determined to make it a masterpiece. One day, while reviewing some documents at the construction site, I overheard a conversation between two workers. They were talking about Kalen, Imogen's lover. Apparently, he had been fired from the art gallery for embezzling funds. My ears perked up. I listened intently, trying to glean more information. The workers mentioned that Kalen had been living a lavish lifestyle, buying expensive cars and taking extravagant trips. He had even been bragging about how he had manipulated Imogen into giving him money. A cold fury washed over me. Not only had Imogen betrayed me, but she had also been used, manipulated by a con artist. I felt a strange mix of anger and pity for her. She had been so blinded by her infatuation that she had failed to see the truth. I decided to investigate. I hired a private investigator to look into Kalen's background. What I discovered was shocking. Kalen was a serial cheater and a con man. He had a history of seducing vulnerable women, manipulating them into giving him money, and then disappearing without a trace. He had done the same thing to Imogen. He had used her, taken her money, and then dumped her when he realized she was no longer useful. She was devastated, broke, and alone. I confronted Imogen with the information. She was shocked and heartbroken. She had believed Kalen's lies, his promises of love and devotion. She had given him everything, and he had taken it all away. I felt a strange sense of satisfaction. Kalen had gotten what he deserved. But I also felt a deep sadness for Imogen. She had made a terrible mistake, and she was paying the price. She lost her job after the scandal at the gallery. Her friends ostracized her. She was left with nothing. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she was struggling to make ends meet, working odd jobs to pay the bills. One evening, I received a call from Imogen. She was desperate. She had been evicted from her apartment and had nowhere to go. She begged me to help her. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to slam the phone down, to tell her that she deserved everything that was happening to her. But another part of me, the part that still cared for her, couldn't bear to see her suffer. I agreed to meet her. We met at a coffee shop, a place we used to frequent during our early years together. She looked terrible, gaunt and pale, with dark circles under her eyes. She was a shadow of the vibrant, beautiful woman I had once loved. She told me her story, the full extent of Kalen's deception, the shame and humiliation she had endured. She apologized again and again for her betrayal. She said she knew she didn't deserve my forgiveness, but she hoped that one day I could find it in my heart to forgive her. I listened, my heart aching. I couldn't forgive her completely, not yet, but I could offer her a helping hand. I couldn't let her fall into the abyss. I helped her find a new apartment, a small, modest place in a safe neighborhood. I gave her some money to help her get back on her feet. I didn't do it because I loved her, but because I couldn't stand to see her suffer. We didn't get back together. The trust was still broken, the wounds still too deep. But we started to rebuild a friendship, a fragile connection based on shared history and a mutual understanding of the pain we had caused each other. I never forgot what Imogen had done. The betrayal would always be a part of me, a scar on my heart. But I learned that forgiveness is possible, even in the face of unimaginable pain. And I learned that sometimes the greatest revenge is not to inflict suffering on those who have wronged us, but to offer them compassion and a chance to rebuild their lives. I eventually moved on, finding love again with someone new, someone who valued my trust and loyalty. And Imogen slowly but surely rebuilt her life, finding peace and purpose in her art. We remained friends, occasional friends, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit to heal and forgive. The rain outside had stopped. The clouds had parted, revealing a sliver of moon in the night sky. I looked out the window, a sense of peace washing over me. The storm had passed, both outside and within. I had survived, and I had learned to live again.